Hello and good evening to you all. Greetings from the most dark room. You probably think that this is Halloween. Um, I'm very sorry the lighting in this room cannot be brought up to any higher level, but there we go. So, unfortunately, that is where the situation is with the lighting. There is no brighter lighting in this room, and there's nowhere else for me to sit other than in a bathroom, which has a fan going. So, unfortunately, cannot do that. And other parts of the building are full of people. So, here we are. Anyway, greetings to you all and cheers to you all. I hope you're all having a lovely evening, and hello to the 71 of you already here. You've come in very thick and fast, and I have just spent the last 15 minutes listening to a wonderful interview with somebody from Broadstairs, the wonderful Mario Garcia. So, a big cheers to Mario, who has been on BBC Radio Kent this evening on the programme called Game Changers. And they have been celebrating Mario's wonderful works. Mario can be listened to today on the BBC iPlayer, the 6th of November, BBC Radio Kent, Game Changers. Please have a listen. You know, a jolly interview with a jolly giant. You know, Mario is a volunteer rugby coach in the local community. He has trained over 3,000 children in rugby in 2023 alone in Kent. That is just one man in Kent. Can you imagine how many other people are doing this across Britain? I think this man is an absolute gentleman and a giant in his field. He deals especially with special needs children. And last school year, over 3,800 children aged between 6 and 18. And he is involved with Thanet Wanderers, which is a wonderful local community rugby club. And he believes that, you know, he likes to put smiles on the children's faces. He thinks in rules, respect, and relaxation. Flexible, and he also pointed out, which I thought was quite interesting, is that the girls are actually more willing to learn about it than the boys, to be honest. And he joked about how people call him the grumpy granddad, which his own grandson and his own grandson, Matthew, a lovely young man who knows more about dinosaurs than anyone I've ever come across, a very bright young gentleman who comes to the Magnets, and I say, cheers to everybody at the Magnets. Unfortunately, I don't have my, I say, cheers to everybody at the Magnets. Unfortunately, I don't have my magnet mug with me, my magnet plastic cup with me on this very occasion, but I say cheers to everyone there. So, I don't know who Soren is, but I've no idea. I know that some of you are getting very upset about other members of this community, and some of you are getting a little upset with the wrong people, but some of you are getting upset with the right ones. So I don't know who Soren is. Right. Oh, Soren, you are now the weakest link. Goodbye, Soren. You are barred. Out. Bye-bye. Don't know who Soren is. There we go. I really do not bother about what these troll people have to say about me. I believe if you say anything, there are people who like you. And Soren, whoever you are, please go away. Thank you. I'm sure you'll come back under another name, but please don't. I really would rather you didn't. Thank you. Good night and goodbye to you. But no, I thought it was a lovely interview by Mario Garcia. So please have a listen if you have time. So I thank you for paying attention to that. I do again apologize for this lighting. It is totally awful. This is the worst lighting I think we've ever had, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's so dark that I look like I'm being dragged through a bat cave, but there we go. So there we are on that. Anyway, I have traveled to Paris. This is my current destination, and I have to say that British Airways is the most appalling airline on the planet. Completely lazy, completely bone idle. Their workers don't even bother to turn up to get on the aeroplane. So the plane was cancelled, and then I was told I'd have to go on another day, and then they said, well, you can go on a flight at 7:30 in the morning. This was at about 3 a.m. And then they said, well, you can go on at 3:30 in the afternoon. And then they said, we have no hotel to put you in or anything, all the usual gibberish. But anyway, we made the most of it. And at the airport, I ran into my lovely friend, Amanda Eliash, who is a brilliant lady. And I sat with her at the Fortnum Mason bar, which was a delightful thing to do. So that was a great pleasure. And I also got to get some books. So anyway, Amanda is someone whose YouTube channel you should all have a look at. Amanda makes videos about all sorts of things. She's currently in America in a program about debunking Shakespeare. And some of you will agree with her views and some of you won't. But I urge you to have a look at Amanda Eliash's videos on all manner of topics, because Amanda is somebody who is very witty and very wonderful. So please have a look at that. Meanwhile, I have a book recommendation for you. I have started reading. I had many hours at the airport, and I have a number of books that I can talk about, but I've only started reading one of them, which is Jeffrey Archer's latest. I know it's a little bit low grade for some people, but it's called Traitor's Gate. It's one of his William Warwick series, and it's only recently come out, and it's all about trying to steal the crown jewels. So anyway, I've read probably I've read 2/3 of it, and I'd say it's a very easy read, and I hope you all enjoy it if that's the book of your type of reading. But it may not be for you. But I have to say, I find it a very easy read, and I enjoy the bits because Jeffrey Archer and I have a lot of mutual friends, and I see references to those people in these books. So for me, there's a bit of curiosity. And it's the locations that he mentions that I happen to know. And it's the people who I think he bases people on. So, no, I find it a very fascinating, easy read. It is not going to challenge your mind. It is not hard work. I also had a book. I got a copy of The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Suguru, which I have read before, and I think that is a wonderful work by a genius. That is quite a different form of literary standard, but I shall be reading that again in due course, because I've watched the film, I think, at least 15 times, and I love The Remains of the Day. And Anthony Hopkins and Emma Thompson, fantastic actors. And I can't remember which friend of mine it was today. He'd been to the house where they filmed they set the Darlington Hall. It's a National Trust property somewhere in the West Country, I believe. I've never been to the house, but I love the scene as they film going down the driveway, and I think that is a wonderful work of cinematic genius by Merchant Ivory, a truly wonderful filmmaking company. One of the best ever. So yes, I have that, and I had a book by John Ronson, who, of course, many of you may know from Sean Atwood's channel, because he has spoken with him. It's a book about psychopaths, and I should look forward to reading that. John Ronson is an absolutely brilliant writer, and his Radio 4 series are utterly superb. So if you have some time at a loose end, go on to the BBC iPlayer and look up John Ronson. But somebody wrote to me today and said, would I recommend the Spotify channel where I discuss things? I did not know I was on Spotify, but allegedly I am discussing things with about Jimmy Savile with Sean Atwood, and they would like you to listen to those, which I don't know how you get those. I've utterly no idea, but I was asked to recommend this by one of our regulars, so I'm doing that for you. So there you are on that matter. But today I have wandered around a little bit of Paris, and our old friend came up. Now, it's going to be very hard for me to do this, but here is a poster for an exhibition. It concerns Bernard Buffett. So Bernard Buffett is currently being exhibited in a series of lithographs at a gallery called Gallery Estradus in Paris. So the exhibition continues there till the 11th of November, and the owner of the cafe I went to kindly gave me the poster. So there we go. Nikki Darville says, don't forget to watch the last episode of Woman in White in the Window. Was it with the Woman in the Window? I thought it was the Woman in the Wall or something. When you settle back into the UK, I would definitely be watching that because I loved that series, but I did not get to see the final episode, and I jolly well ought to. That is a program I would recommend to you all. I think it was called Woman in the Wall, not Woman in the Window, however. Right. Bambi Debonair asks, says, I wonder what Hyacinth Bucket calls Bernard Buffett. Well, Bernard Buffet, Bernard Buffett, Hyacinth Bouquet, Hyacinth Bucket. So it could be all manner of things that they would call either one another. They were two people perhaps with differing views of their name. Do I know David Morgan Hewitt? Asks Paulie. I have met David Morgan Hewitt, but I'm not sure why you're asking me that question at this particular time. Yes, Mr. Morgan Hewitt is someone I have encountered, yes, in the world of hospitality, yes. Right. So it's a bit like Farage and Garage, yes. It's not Farage. And, Mr. Farage, as he calls himself, was the son of Farage, who ran a garage. So always remember Farage, who ran a garage. That is the way to remember it. And the garage was in Thanet, in Kent, where he tried to become the MP for. And his father was known in the locality as Mr. Farage, not Farage. He is another Hyacinth Bucket, who wasn't a bouquet. So there we are. Anyway, there we are. We've talked about those things. And now I have a whole list of topics of the weird, the wacky, and the wonderful. And I can go through some of those with you now. So my first topic, which is a most curious one, is that in San Francisco, when I spent a lot of time in San Francisco, there's a bit of a problem at the moment. There's a wolf, and it's escaped, a wolf hybrid. It's not a proper wolf. No one seems to know who it belongs to, but it's a wolf hybrid. It's on the run in a place called Sebastopol. And the California Fish and Wildlife Department are urging the public to be very careful because this wolf is on the run. It's dark grey or black in colouring with yellow eyes. It has not been located as of now. If spotted, do not approach, they said in capital letters. Contact law enforcement immediately and provide the location and direction of travel. So a wolf hybrid is a canine that is produced from the mating between a wolf and a domestic dog. According to the San Francisco Gate, the first generation wolf hybrids are illegal to own. And though no state permit is required to possess a first generation wolf hybrid's descendants, certain cities and counties may prohibit possession and require a permit. So people who see the animal are being urged to call the North Bay Animal Services or the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. So I don't know what it's North Bay Animal Services or the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. So I don't know what it's got to do with fish. But look out for a wolf hybrid with yellow eyes if you are anywhere near San Francisco. Be warned, it could be dangerous. It could be absolutely harmless also. So I actually think this is a little bit of an overreaction, but I think the people getting upset about the wolf hybrid are rather bonkers, but there we go. It hasn't hurt anybody, Bernadette, at this stage, so I think that this poor creature deserves to be reunited with its owners, and on that note, we'll come to another creature, a poor creature that's had no end of trouble, and that's crooner. It's a sheep. It has been known as Britain's loneliest sheep. So Fiona the sheep has been hanging out on a cliff in Scotland for 2 years. And some woman, some busybody, spotted it 2 years ago at the foot of a cliff. And then went back 2 years later, and poor old Fiona, as this sheep has been named by some people, was still there, and she was kayaking along, and no, Trevor, it is Trevor, as you call yourself. It's no relation to Dolly the sheep, but poor old Fiona the sheep was rescued ultimately with a very thick woolly fleece, because the sheep that get left for a very long time, they tend to become covered in fleece, obviously, because it does tend to grow. It's rather like my hair, which is far too long currently. That's another matter, but that's a matter for another occasion. So some people decided to try and rescue the sheep, and they took quite a bit of time to rescue it. It took a number of days before a bunch of farmers could actually get the sheep. And some of them are calling it Sheepy rather than Fiona. But there we go. But the landowner and some of his people managed to get the sheep out of the place it had been for 2 years. Goodness knows what it lived on for 2 years, but it somehow survived, so it can't have been that bad. Anyway, it was taken by these people to a place called Dulscan Farm Fun. And Dulscan Farm Fun, it is being looked after perfectly well after being winched up the cliff. Anyway, they want to rehabilitate it, and they will spend 5 months rehabilitating Fiona the sheep before allowing the public, who can come back there in the spring, to see it. However, and there's always a however, the stupid animal rights activists have decided to get themselves involved. Animal Rising have started peaceful, what they call peaceful protests, saying that they do not want to put this Fiona in a stressful situation. They don't want Fiona to be in what they call a petting zoo. Paulie says it does look a bit like Fiona Bruce. Well, she is Scottish and it is a sheep. Other people are bringing up Anthea Turner, saying it looks a little bit like Anth. Well, I think it'd be very unfair to give the poor old sheep that moniker. That would be absolutely appalling. Nicole, who's got a Scottish flag, does not like the name Fecking Fiona, as she says. Anyway, this sheep is now being subjected to protests by these people, the animal rising. They are not very happy about the situation. They are not very happy about the situation.